Hello, crazy ones. Today we are looking at John D. Rockefeller's biography. This is my, um, I guess you can say, first time going through the biography, and the one that I listened to was the one by I believe name is Chernow, Ron Chernow, but the name of the book is Titan, and it's a very long biography. And the three lessons that I want to talk about is Rockefeller's bravery, charity, and discipline. So let me get you the name of the biography first. Um, Ron Chernow. Okay. Um, I've read a lot of Walter Isaacson's biography, and comparing it to Ron Chernow, I kind of prefer Ron Chernow's style a bit more. Is that he takes key pieces of a story and looks at it from different angles. So, in my opinion, it gives you more of an understanding of what type of person someone has been. But at the same time, this biography is a bit different because Rockefeller was alive. Well, he died about 100 years ago. So there's a lot of material that is opened up and you can see it now. That being said, let's get into it. So, Rockefeller, one interesting thing you gotta know about him is that he was given basically, he was man of the house at the age of 12 uh, in his teenage years, basically, because his dad was basically gone. He was out there philandering, selling fake drugs to people as a fake doctor around the country, and he was basically not around the house. And John was responsible of working, you know, going to school, and also taking care of everything else. There's a point in the story where John built a house before he's even 18. Um, so it's a very interesting perspective. Okay, so what do I mean by bravery? Um, John was a poor kid and he became very rich. And many times in the story, he had magnets or very big people that he would confront. And even though that he was not a big guy and nothing like that, he would not be afraid of confronting them and he would battle and win. There's a point in the story where he basically has to make a business deal with Vanderbilt. And if you don't know, Vanderbilt made his money in the 1800s through the railway and basically controlled the railway in America. So at the time that he and Rockefeller had to make a business deal, Rockefeller was much smaller than Vanderbilt. But I believe Vanderbilt or someone in his crew said that the only person that I can negotiate with, or like will bend myself to negotiate with, is Rockefeller, which is a very interesting statement to make. And to be honest, I don't understand completely what gave him his sense of bravery, but he was a very brave person. Um, the next thing that I want to get into is charity. Rockefeller might have been, even to this day, the best philanthropist who has ever lived. And this is what I mean by that. He, from the time he was before he was rich, he believed that he had you can call it a religious duty to make as much money as possible and then redistribute that money in a fair way. And in his term, in his Christian values, he wanted to spend the money in a certain way. But one thing that definitely happened is that he spent the money in a very good way. And part of it you might call, a little bit of cowardice as well, which is a good contrast to the first theme. But they spend the money, majority of it, in the healthcare space in the United States. They built one of the first black colleges, I believe in early 1900s or late 1800s, and basically research funded a lot of research in the medical space. And then when they find a solution, they work to spread that medical innovation throughout the country. And there's many examples of that in the story. And the part that I will say it's a bit of a cowardice is that they could spend more money in the social justice cases, but they found those cases to be very, I can call it turbulent. So they decided to work on the medical space, which in a way it's like there's less politics that comes with it as well. But they worked on that and they spend the money. And one thing you might see from Rockefeller when you spend the money that is very interesting, and is in contrast with, um, what's his name? The iron magnate at the time, Carnegie, is that he didn't build schools or hospital and name it after himself. He never named things after himself, which is very interesting in that he wanted to do good just for the cause of doing good. Now, when you look at his, business dealings, yes, there are some questionable things even for a person of that time as well, and there are some things that they did in order to become the monopoly that they were. So I would believe, in my opinion, that in business, yes, he did some questionable things. Whether he did it more than the average magnate at the time, I don't think so. But at the same time, in the philanthropy space, he did amazing. Um, and he's an example of one good person who actually cares about helping people, or one good person that is rich and is caring of helping other people, doing more good than many government charities today, and many half-ass rich people that are just spending money, giving their money to random charities. And what I mean by that is that a lot of rich people, I mean billionaires, give money to charities, but they give it to a charity and they don't really monitor how the money is being spent in the charity and what impact it creates. Rockefeller was very detail oriented on what he spent his money on and what the good that money would create. And the fact that he cared about that so much was one of the factors that made his impact much more. And I don't see that in a lot of other rich people that did something. Like, for example, can you name three major important things that either government charities or rich people charities have done and achieved in the past few years? One thing I could say is that there's this worm disease that used to happen in the south of United States, and it used to give a certain sleepiness, this worm that was in the soil, a certain sleepiness to people of the south, and that was a stigma that was attached to them. And there was a cure for that, and Rockefeller built that cure and spread the cure throughout the whole south of United States. Can you name me one thing that is of impact that modern rich people, that there's a culture of philanthropy, I'll put that culture in double quotations, have done? I would say not as much. Not zero, but not as much. The third thing I want to say is discipline. And what I mean by that is this. Rockefeller was a very disciplined person, disciplined about what he ate. So his diet was very strict, especially as he got older in order to maximize his health and age, and he aged a lot. He was very careful about what he ate. He didn't get fat throughout all his years. Like, he was a very rich guy, a very rich guy of those days, without a gym culture and six-pack culture and taking pictures and anything. Had fat bodies. Let's just put it like that. So he was very fit. He was fit, so he was disciplined in a diet space. He was disciplined in that he wouldn't go to parties that would, well, not all parties, but he would heavily not go to parties that there were alcohol in it, or there were alcohol being drunk. He wouldn't go to around drunk people. And by all accounts of what we have, even though his dad was a womanizer and had multiple wives and did things that was crazy out there for people of those times, Rockefeller was faithful to the best of knowledge that we have, and he was very disciplined in that realm as well. So in all areas of life, he was very disciplined, and he took pride in his sense of self-control. And for him, that was helpful for him in terms of being frugal in business, but also it helped because he was so proud of it. He tried his best to teach it to his kids as well, and at least financially, his son, which inherited most of his wealth, took that, and that in a way was good, but he wasn't able to pass it on completely to his children. So I mean, if you take a look at the book, or you can call it a booklet, 35 Letters to My Son, um, where John Rockefeller writes to his son, like a junior John Rockefeller, um, he says that discipline is one of the things that made him be very successful. And I think for his story, it's very true. Um, yeah, those are the three lessons. Talk to you guys in the next one.